He ended the video by saying, quote, "I plan to respond the way that everybody anticipates for me to respond. And Karl, expect me."
Just settle this. It's going to be a lot better than taking it all the way to court. And he was like, no, not doing that. And he found people that wanted to take it all the way or something.
I thought I would go over his accusations and let you know what really happened.
Okay, this is really bad. I'll go over the allegations and let you know what really happened, but he doesn't reveal key details about one of the cases, saying he can't speak on it. He's still commenting on the thing which he's currently being sued for being defamatory over. What was he thinking, dude?
Billy Mitchell released a video accusing me of lying and claimed that no money was exchanged. He didn't provide any evidence to back up this claim, nor did he attempt to get in contact with me to clear up.
What? Prove you didn't pay any money? No, you need to prove that you paid. What? I'm sure that you guys are probably familiar with this already, so I don't need to kind of go into the detail exactly, and we'll obviously look at it. But the long story short is that Billy Mitchell took Karl Jobst to court for defamation. Now, to the surprise of many, Karl Jobst lost. And people are surprised because I think there was this kind of collective understanding based on the way that Karl had talked about this. A lot of people thought that this court case
That's wonderful.
was him getting taken to court over allegations that Billy Mitchell had cheated. And much to many people's surprise, it wasn't actually about whether or not Billy Mitchell had cheated. The defamation claim was a very specific claim that was made by Karl that said that Apollo Legend had redacted themselves because Billy Mitchell had taken them to court and subjected them to a big payout off the back of a court settlement, and that contributed to his suicide. Now, the problem with that statement is that, one, it's not true on the basis of like many people saying it wasn't to do any, Apollo Legend killing himself wasn't anything to do with that. But secondly, the other big problem is there was no big payout. So there was never a payout from the settlement that Billy Mitchell had with Apollo Legend. It was about taking the rights to videos, taking videos down, something like that, right? So it was just a wrong thing to say, essentially. We'll get into it all. But, you know, it's like, yeah, it's a fucking bad day to be Karl Jobst, let's put it that way. As far as I can see it, Karl is suffering from a number of different issues, okay? Issue number one, he did something that was conclusively wrong. Okay, that's the first problem that you've got. The second issue is he was overconfident and hubristic. Okay, thank you for the super chat. He was overconfident and hubristic. That's the second problem. The third problem is he's someone that's considered to have quite like an unblemished record, and people love seeing someone with an unblemished record get taken down. That's the third problem. And the fourth problem is what I'm going to call the Reddit issue. Okay. And the Reddit issue is that people get very bored and annoyed with the same sentiment being expressed again and again and again when it gets to like an extreme point, okay? And in this case, it's, oh my God, fucking Billy Mitchell is such a lying, cheating scumbag, blah, 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 right? People get so bored and tired of that. And you're seeing at the moment a lot of like support, both ironic and non-ironic, for Billy Mitchell. And I think one of the big reasons for that is because people are so sick of hearing about how much of a bad person Billy Mitchell is. And it then becomes very funny that he's won this because it's like a fucking blow to the Redditors, essentially. Okay? So those, as far as I can see, are the four key issues that you've kind of got for Karl. He did wrong. He was hubristic about it. What was the other thing? I can't remember. The other thing, and then the fucking Reddit thing. I've forgotten what I just said, bro. I don't know what's wrong with me saying. Anyway, Karl has got an uphill battle now, okay? Because not only does he have to contend with these issues.
Okay, that's wonderful. But how do I make money off depressed
Thank you for the
people?
super chats.
Billy Mitchell bad, Billy Mitchell bad.
But on top of that as well, unblemished record. Yes, thank you, unblemished record. But on top of that as well, the other problem that you've got is there's now claims that he's misled his audience about the nature of this. Casey, thank you for the 5 gifted. Appreciate that. So the issue that you've got is he also now has to contend, and this is part of the hubristic part, he now has to contend with claims that he misled his audience, right? Now, spoiler alert, okay, because obviously I know about this already, having seen the discourse about it. I do think he misled his audience, okay? But I do think there is a complexity to it that is not just he was like, haha, I know that I'm getting sued for point A, but I'm going to claim that I'm getting sued for point B. I think that there is some confusion in there as a product of these various different lawsuits that were floated about, okay? So there is the reasonable confusion that people had about it. However, I think Karl's big problem and issue and terrible, terrible mistake is at no point did he clarify or make it clear what was going on, right? So I think that, you know, he at best benefited from the confusion around it to garner support that he otherwise may not have gotten because the case he was trying to fight was so clear cut if you actually look at the details of it, you know? Yeah, Alanite, yeah, exactly. Whether he misled intentionally is debatable. Yeah, I agree with that, yeah. I need to see more to decide what I think about that exactly, but I just know that it's not as clear cut as like, he was like, ha ha ha, I'm getting sued for this and I'm going to claim this for that. Like, there is plausible deniability because of some of the complexity and confusion by the various different lawsuits that were being touted. But it doesn't really matter to me because it's like, well, it's up to Karl to make it clear. Karl should have made it clear as it was happening what was going on. And I think that he fucking saw the amount of money he was making off this fucking Billy Mitchell hate. And he just couldn't see the wood for the trees and just kept going down this fucking obviously fucked up retarded pathway, you know? But he weaved total bullshit into his grand narrative about Billy and it ended up blowing up in his face. Yep, exactly. I agree with that. I agree with you. He was so arrogant he became blind to his own bullshit. Yep. Totally agree with this. I just think there's this narrative that I've seen that he's like some sort of like malicious Machiavellian guy. I don't think that's the case. You know, I think this is more so just insane overconfidence and hubris blowing up in his face more than anything else. I mean, this is like a case in point right here. Look at shit like this I just got sent. Look at this, bro. Do you ever run script? This is from the 28th of March. Do you ever run scripts for videos like this past a lawyer, or is it not worth the expense? No, I don't, because fuck lawyers and what they think. If I want to say something, I will say it. Fuck letting other people tell you what to do. A lawyer will always tell you to say nothing. Who wants to live by that principle? Is this real? Is this a real fucking screenshot, dude? What? Where is this from? Oh my god, dude. Oh dear. Well, there we go. Right, anyway, let's have a look at the judgment first, okay? So the day of hubristic L's started wonderful. Here, I would say. How do I make money off depressed people? Thank you for the super chat. The court has decided to stream my decision live on YouTube, so you can watch me win or lose in real time. Oof, bro. Anyway, it's been taken down, but we've got the footage here. Let's have a look.
The plaintiff, William Mitchell III, commonly known as Billy Mitchell, lives in Florida, United States of America. He has been well known among adherents of video and arcade gaming in many countries, including Australia, since 1982. At an arcade and video gaming competition in November that year that took place in Ottumwa, Iowa, USA, playing an arcade game called Donkey Kong, Mr. Mitchell scored a world record 874,300 points and was the first person ever recorded as reaching the kill screen, that is, reaching the end of the game. At the time, he was 17 years of age. Mr. Mitchell went on to be recognized as having achieved a number of world records and world firsts in video and arcade gaming. They included achieving the first perfect score of 3,333,360 in another game.
Pretty sure he knew where it was going to go. I don't think he did. I do not think that Karl Jobst knew how this was going to go. I think Karl was so wrapped up in his own fucking narrative and beliefs about this that he could not see the wood for the trees. I genuinely think he thought he had a chance of winning this. Right? I do not believe that someone posts so confidently for so long without genuinely believing that you're going to win And the problem is like believing your own hype essentially and not being able to take a step back from this. I mean, for fuck's sake, dude, you know, he was saying he's not seeking the advice of lawyers about videos that he's putting out. I will say, I don't like this on a principled level. I don't like the idea that lawsuits are fucking, you know, even though I probably am going to agree based on what I've heard with this, what this guy says, I don't like the idea of using lawsuits to settle this shit. And I think it can have a chilling effect. I think that it allows wealthy people to put pressure on smaller creators to not speak up and potentially, you know, use lawfare against them and stuff like that. So I don't like it in principle, but in this situation, it's like, well, Karl, you know, you've got to engage with the system as it exists, right? Like, for example, if some wealthy YouTuber came at me over some fucking defamation thing, I'd probably just fold. I'd get called a pussy for that, and that's fine. But I'd rather fold and look like a pussy for like a couple of days than, you know, mount a fucking legal case and lose, especially in the UK where defamation laws are pretty fucking, you know, shit compared to like America. Like, what's worse, looking like a pussy for a couple of days or losing a lawsuit and getting a fucking hundreds of thousands of pounds you have to pay out? Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I think I'd rather the former than the latter, you know?
Called Pac-Man in 1999, setting a new world record and the first score of over 1 million points, the record being 1,047,200 points in Donkey Kong in June 2005, another Donkey Kong world record of 1,050,200 points in July 2007, and a third Donkey Kong world record of 1,062,800 points in July 2010. Those records were recognized by such bodies as Guinness World Records and Twin Galaxies, which is an American company that organizes gaming competitions and keeps a...
Can he not appeal it? I mean, yeah, but Mike, I mean, like, I don't know, well, to be fair, I don't know how it works exactly. I presume so. But on what basis can you appeal it exactly? Like, what possible grounds is there to appeal this? Based on what I've heard about this, it's pretty clear cut. You know, I think in America this would be harder because, you know, it's on the plaintiff to prove it, like malicious intent or reckless disregard for the truth, and they have to show damages, right? So I think under a different system, maybe it's harder to get this across the line. But what with Australia's defamation rules being what they are, you're kind of fucked, really. Like, I don't know what possible different interpretation there could be.
Database of records and rankings across various gaming platforms. In 2017, Mr. Mitchell was accused...
He said the judge believed Mitchell to be fully credible was biased after that. That is total cope. That is total fucking cope. Total cope. Fucking Karl Jobst said something that was wrong and didn't back down when given the opportunity in a meaningful way. This idea that it was the judge being biased. What do you mean? Karl Jobst said something that wasn't true, and then he didn't back down when given the opportunity to do so.
...of having cheated in achieving his Donkey Kong world records by allegedly using computer emulation software instead of original arcade hardware. Twin Galaxies investigated the accusation, and in April 2018, it announced that it had concluded that 2 of Mr. Mitchell's world record scores were not produced by the direct feed output of an original
Also,
unmodified...
I don't know how it works in Australia exactly, but I think that there's a difference probably between, well, maybe not in Australia, but there's a difference between saying you think or believe. It's your belief that someone contributed, or it's your opinion that someone contributed to someone's suicide, versus saying this person killed themselves as a result of a settlement in a lawsuit, and there was no financial settlement, and that is what led to their suicide. Like, I feel like there'd probably be a differentiation there as well. So there may be even a way that you could word it that would be more safe. I don't know. In Australia. But yeah. I think the fact that he said it so conclusively, I think, worked against him too, right?
Donkey Kong Arcade Printed Circuit Board, or PCB. It was not able to determine whether the third score was produced on original arcade gaming hardware or with the use of emulation software. As a consequence of its finding...
Or For example, you say things which are true. Like Dark Viper is named in Apollo Legends suicide note. That's true. You could say that without issue because that's just a fact.
It announced that it had decided to remove all of Mr. Mitchell's scores and to ban him from
Karl has
participating.
a total disregard for the truth he might have lost even in the US. If he said it was his honest opinion, he would have lost less at least.
Honest opinion defense, section 31 of the statute. So you could you state that as an opinion and it would be more protected if you were just like, in my opinion, and you didn't mention something which isn't true, like the lawsuit payout. If you just said, in my opinion, his actions may have contributed to his suicide. Like, is that something that would then be protected speech? I don't know exactly, but could that, maybe that's something?
In its competitive leaderboards. The following day, Guinness World Records announced that as a consequence of Twin Galaxies' decision, it too had disqualified Mr. Mitchell as the holder of all his records, both in Donkey Kong and in Pac-Man. Mr. Mitchell commenced proceedings in the United States for defamation against Twin Galaxies and a number of others. One of those lawsuits was against a young man, Benjamin Smith, who was known online as Apollo Legend.
You can't conceal a factual statement, but it's not a factual statement, is it? But it's not, that's not a factual statement if you believe, like, you know, that's just your opinion on what contributed to someone maybe topping themselves, no?
Refer to him as Apollo Legend in my reasons.
But I
He
don't know,
published videos on YouTube about gaming, including a number in which he accused Mr. Mitchell of cheating, falsifying his Donkey Kong scores, and not using legitimate gaming hardware. Mr. Mitchell and Apollo Legend settled that proceeding on 22 August 2020. Their agreement relevantly provided that Apollo Legend would remove all of his YouTube videos and social media posts that referred to Mr. Mitchell. He would assign the copyright in those YouTube videos to Mr. Mitchell, and he would permanently cease producing any oral, written, or electronic documents or communications that in any way mentioned or referred to Mr. Mitchell or his family, apart from making an agreed statement in terms provided in the settlement agreement. Any breach by Apollo Legend of the last of these obligations would result in him being liable to Mr. Mitchell for $25,000 for each breach. Unless he committed such a breach, he did not have to pay Mr. Mitchell any money.
So, like, I don't know about this Apollo Legend stuff, but that's the kind of stuff that's troubling to me. Is the way in which this can be, you know, used against someone like this. And I've not seen Apollo Legends video. I don't know what they did or didn't say. But if you're just saying that, you know, based on the Twin Galaxy thing, you think that Billy Mitchell's a cheater, then that to me should be protected. So where did Apollo Legend live? Was he in America? Maybe the settlement was because he didn't want to pursue the legal case further because he didn't have money or something, perhaps. But yeah. Didn't say anything bad. Okay. Well, I don't know the ins and outs of that, but it is a concern that someone can have such, you know, restrictive aspects placed on their content like that. I think that's a bad thing overall for you know, the creation of content and stuff.
Apollo Legend appears to have complied with that agreement. However, on 20 December 2020, he published a video on YouTube, referred to in this proceeding as his goodbye video, in which he told viewers that he was recording his final video. He said, "This is the end of my life," and he explained why. In that video, he did not mention Mr. Mitchell, nor the claim against him or the settlement agreement.
So do you think Karl Jobst misled his audience? Yes, I do think he misled his audience. And the reason that I think that is because I've seen so many people say, I thought this was because of cheating, not because of the Apollo Legend stuff. And I find it difficult to see how he hasn't misled his audience with so many people saying that. It was a small handful, and other people were saying, no, I did know it was about that, actually. It was in this video, then fine.
But how do I make
But there's so many
money
people that
off depressed
feel
people?
misled
It's
because
complex,
he did mislead
but
them.
there are many examples of major defamation cases here where nuanced language either protected against or mitigated damages in Oz.
Thank you for the super chat.
Shortly after publishing it, he committed suicide. Defendant Karl Jobst lives in Queensland. He regularly publishes videos on YouTube, mostly about speedrunning, but also about video and arcade gaming world records and people who cheat in those games. He has over 1 million followers on his YouTube channel. On 26 May 2021, he published a...
Okay. It's my fault for answering these questions. Okay, do you think Karl Jobst's credibility is damaged now? So you could probably figure that out yourself. If I think that Karl misled his audience, then you could probably intuit from that I think his credibility is probably damaged. Yes, right? Okay.
A video about Mr. Mitchell and another video
Did he sort
gamer,
to wipe your ass for
Todd
you every
Rogers,
morning? What the
entitled,
fuck?
"The Biggest Conmen in Video Game History Strike Again." He accused Mr. Mitchell and Mr. Rogers of cheating and of pursuing unmeritorious litigation against people who had accused them of cheating. He also said the following about Mr. Mitchell, quote, "He also sued YouTuber Apollo Legend for $1 million. I haven't spoken about this publicly, but this lawsuit ultimately ended with Apollo giving in and settling with Mitchell. He was forced to remove all his videos about Mitchell's cheating and paid him a large sum of money. This left him deeply in debt. It required him to find extra work, but with his ongoing health issues, this was all too much of a burden, and he ultimately took his own life." Not that Billy Mitchell would ever care, though. In fact, when Billy Mitchell thought Apollo died earlier, he expressed joy at the thought. The lawsuit against Apollo was just as frivolous as the rest, and Apollo definitely would have won in court. But again, he was extremely ill and couldn't handle the ongoing stress. End quote. That video containing that passage was online.
Oh, dude. So that is just littered with inaccuracies and incorrect statements. There was no legal, there was no financial aspect to the settlement. It was, and presumably that's probably because he didn't have any fucking money. And I don't like, just to be very clear, I don't fucking like that. I think that fucking sucks. You can file a lawsuit against someone, which you may well end up losing if it got to court, and then you can agree a settlement where you basically rape their content, okay? That fucking sucks, and it gives wealthy people free reign to fuck with other people's content. I think it's fucked up, right? However, I think it's insane to claim that a financial settlement that never happened contributed to the guy topping himself. And that's something that would need a very clear, specific retraction. That's not something that you can write off as just an opinion. You're making factual claims about a situation.
Okay, that's wonderful. But how do I make money off depressed people?
Sorry to interrupt, but I was broke and I got paid. Sorry for being annoying about the Noah video.
Oh.
Had already seen others cover it, but shouldn't have annoyed you because I didn't take it seriously.
I can't remember that, but that's okay. Thank you for the $10. Appreciate it.
Line for 10 days from 26 May 2021 to 4 June 2021, and for an additional 5 days from 9 June to 13 June 2021. In between those dates, and since 13 June 2021, the video has remained online, but it contains only the first 2 sentences and the last sentence of the passage that I have just read. While the video was first online in its full version, 2 relevant events occurred. First, on 3 June 2021, Mr. Mitchell published his own YouTube video.
Also, that's another point as well. Oh, hey, Gamer, how's it going? Jobst also asserted that Billy Mitchell expressed joy at the news of his death. What evidence is there that Billy Mitchell expressed joy at the news of his death? Is there anything substantive there?
Response to Mr. Jobst's video. He denied as lies the assertion that Apollo Legend had paid him any money as part of the settlement, or that he had had any involvement with Apollo Legend that had led him to commit suicide. He asserted that Mr. Jobst had effectively accused him of murder. He ended the video by saying, quote, "I plan to respond the way that everybody anticipates for me to respond. And Karl, expect me." End quote. The second relevant event is that a mutual acquaintance of Mr. Mitchell and Mr. Jobst, known online as Keemstar, contacted Mr. Jobst.
What? Keemstar reference in a fucking random lawsuit story? What, dude? I heard that Keemstar got mentioned. That's wild. Keemstar's involved in this.
Jobst at Mr. Mitchell's request and told him that it was not true that Apollo Legend had paid Mr. Mitchell any money. Mr. Jobst agreed.
Maybe a chilling effect on lying for views is good. Oh my god, Major Windy, you're a fucking cretinous retard, okay? You are such a fucking moron, it's unbelievable. The chilling effect on the lying for views isn't the problem. The chilling effect is people being concerned about stating things because the consequence is that they might get a lawsuit filed against them that they may then have to settle on unfavourable terms because they don't have the money to fight it if it's a wealthy individual filing against them. You are such a bootlicking retard, it's unbelievable, bro. Yes, obviously, I think making shit up is bad, okay? I think making shit up and saying things wrong is bad, and there should be some sort of consequence for that, right? But it shouldn't be you get taken to court for fucking hundreds of thousands of dollars, first of all. And second of all, the knock-on effects is not just going to affect people that are lying for views. It's going to affect people that are maybe saying things which are reasonable, fair, possibly true, but they are fucking taken to court for that. Alternatively, their lawfare is used against them in jurisdictions where they don't have anti-slap suits to protect them. Defamation is a rich man's game, okay? I don't understand this tendency to act like there's no possible chilling effects that could go beyond the bounds of what is bad behaviour. It's so obvious that that's... Bro, I live in the UK and it's a fucking hellscape, bro. Journalists have taken the press to court to get them to not talk about something they could otherwise talk about, which is in the public interest. It's fucked, bro.
To take down that part of the video while he investigated, quote, the second relevant event is that a mutual acquaintance of Mr. Mitchell and Mr. Jobst, known online as Keemstar, contacted Mr. Jobst at Mr. Mitchell's request and told him that it was...
Like, it's very simple. I need to listen to this again. You can look at this and you can say, oh shit, Karl Jobst fucked up really bad and there should be some consequence for that, particularly with how hubristic and overconfident he was. Okay? That's fine. You can say that and that's fair. But you can also recognise the negative implications of this sort of decision for the broader creator landscape as well. Both could be true at the same time, alright?
Asserted that Mr. Jobst had effectively accused him of murder. He ended the video by saying, quote, I plan to respond the way that everybody anticipates for me to respond. And Karl, expect me. End quote. The second relevant event is that
the consequence should be someone makes a video and exposes you for being a fucking retard for saying something totally wrong. That should be the consequence.
mutual acquaintance of Mr. Mitchell and Mr. Jobst, known online as Keemstar, contacted Mr. Jobst at Mr. Mitchell's request and told him that it was not true that Apollo Legend had paid Mr. Mitchell any money. Mr. Jobst agreed to take down that part of the video while he investigated that issue further. While not taking it all down, he only left up the first and last sentences of the passage that I have read. He then emailed Apollo Legend's brother to ask him whether Apollo Legend had to pay any money to Mr. Mitchell as part of the settlement. Mr. Mitchell's lawyers then served a concerns notice on Mr. Jobst, asserting that he had defamed Mr. Mitchell. In response, Mr. Jobst posted that letter on Twitter, claiming it to be very exciting and that any action would be an amazing experience. He then reinstated the original version of the video on his YouTube channel. It was not until 13 June 2021 that Apollo Legend's brother informed Mr. Jobst that Apollo Legend had not paid any money to Mr. Mitchell. Mr. Jobst then altered the video again to remove all except the first two and the last sentences. That version has remained on his YouTube channel since then. The video containing all of the offending passage was downloaded in the periods that it was online by over 500,000 people, including over 20,000 in Australia. Since then, over 8,000 comments have been made on the video.
Bro, why not just say, hey guys, just to let you know, I fucking hate Billy Mitchell as much as the next person, but I made some mistakes in stating a thing. I said this, turns out that was wrong, and then eat a bit of humble pie, do whatever fucking apology you gotta do, and then move forward. Okay? That's gonna save you a hell of a lot of fucking time and effort, rather than whatever the fuck this has turned out to be.
Including at least 396 that, it may be said, accused Mr. Mitchell of causing Apollo Legend to commit suicide and even called him a murderer, evil.
Bro, I said earlier, what's worse, looking like a pussy for a couple of days because you have to apologise to your fucking mortal enemy, or this. This is fucked, bro. Fuck this. No, thank you. You know, even if you have to fucking, you know, put out a fucking statement, whatever you have to do, put out another video, it's way better than going to court and getting reamed for 400k.
and a scumbag. Similar comments have also been made on videos by other publishers on YouTube or other online media. The most recent that has been brought to my attention having been made in early 2024. In this action, Mr. Mitchell sues Mr. Jobst for defamation, claiming $400,000 in general damages and $50,000 in aggravated damages. Mr. Mitchell contends that the video, particularly the passage that I have read, made 5 defamatory imputations about him. Those imputations were, first, Mr. Mitchell had required Apollo Legend to pay him a large amount of money to settle Mr. Mitchell's defamation claim against him, which caused Apollo Legend to go into considerable debt and to take on extra work to survive. Secondly, a major contributing factor in Apollo Legend's decision to take his own life was Mr. Mitchell's requirement that Apollo Legend pay him a large sum of money to settle the defamation claim. Third, Mr. Mitchell had hounded Apollo Legend to death. Fourth, Mr. Mitchell was the main cause, or alternatively a cause, of Apollo Legend taking his own life. And fifth, Mr. Mitchell's conduct was a contributing factor in Apollo Legend taking his own life. Mr. Jobst denied that the imputations alleged by Mr. Mitchell were made in the video. I have found that the video made each of those defamatory imputations.
Oh, no. What, you tried to say it didn't say that, but it did. How does that work? He just said, no, I didn't say that. And it's like, no, you did say that.
Jobst also defended the claim on a number of other grounds. First, he alleged that Mr. Mitchell had a pre-existing bad reputation that meant that any of the defamatory imputations alleged would not have harmed him. That reputation, Mr. Jobst alleged, was threefold. First,
bro, this guy's going on about not getting the advice of his lawyers. And it's like... yeah, well, it sounds like they're crap lawyers anyway. What an absolutely insane concept. Oh, someone's got a bad reputation, so you can say whatever you want about them, no matter how true or not it is.
First, Mr. Mitchell had cheated to gain recognition as the highest or one of the highest scorers in Donkey Kong. Secondly, he had used litigation processes to coerce others to recognize him as a world record holder in Donkey Kong and to refrain from identifying him as a person who had been found to have cheated at video arcade games. And third, that he would ostracize anyone he considered a threat to his world records in Donkey Kong. As to his alleged pre-existing bad reputation, I have found that Mr. Mitchell did have a reputation as a cheat in Donkey Kong and a reputation for suing people who alleged that he was a cheat. I have found that he did not have a reputation for ostracizing anyone he considered a threat to his achievements. Mr. Jobst's other principal defense was that the video made 5...
Well, you have to prove damages in a defamation lawsuit, not in Australia.
Okay, that's wonderful.
Not in Australia, you
But how do I
don't,
make
unfortunately,
money
for
off the
Karl
press people?
Jobst. You don't have to prove damages, and it's up to like, it's all flipped around. If you go and look it up, it's all flipped around. The whose shoulder it lies on to prove certain elements is flipped around in Australian law and in UK law as well. It's fucked.
other defamatory imputations, each of which was substantially true, and as a result of which, the imputations about which Mr. Mitchell complains did not cause any greater harm to him or his reputation. Those imputations, which are referred to in defamation law in Queensland as contextual imputations, were, first, Mr. Mitchell was publicly exposed as having cheated to achieve his record scores in Donkey Kong. Second, Mr. Mitchell was banned from submitting scores to Twin Galaxies for cheating. Third, Mr. Mitchell had planned to create a video that he could use fraudulently as evidence that he had achieved the score of 1,062,800 in Donkey Kong. Fourth, Mr. Mitchell had callously expressed joy at the thought of Apollo Legend's death. And fifth, Mr. Mitchell used litigation to force third parties to recognize his achievements in video gaming. I have found that all of those contextual imputations were made in the video. All but one of them were substantially true. It was not true that he had planned to produce a fraudulent video. To be clear, I was not required to decide, nor did I decide, whether Mr. Mitchell had in fact cheated in gaining any of his world record scores. Mr. Jobst did not attempt to prove that that finding by Twin Galaxies was correct. Notwithstanding these findings, I have concluded that the defamatory imputations made by
that's
Mr.
wonderful.
Jobst
But how
that
do I
are the
make
subject of
money
Mr. Mitchell's
off depressed
claim
people?
We
have
all know what happened to Icarus. Flew too
Yep.
close to the sun, he did. This is what happens when you practice no bad tactics, only targets. Womp
Thank you for
womp.
the super chats. You just prove some level of damages. It's different to America, though. There's some difference. I'll grok it later. I'll grok it later and figure out what the differences are. Grok will tell me. Grok will tell me what the differences are.
caused substantial additional damage to Mr. Mitchell's reputation and have caused him considerable additional distress. Therefore, Mr. Jobst is liable to pay damages to Mr. Mitchell for those defamatory imputations. I shall come shortly to the amount of those damages. Mr. Mitchell also
Oh, I see. There needs to be some proof of harm provided. Rational relationship is the term, sure. But in America, there's like, it's more substantive rep damage that needs to be proven. Is that what it is?
asserted that Mr. Jobst's conduct in publishing the video, and after doing so, was unjustifiable and caused additional personal hurt to Mr. Mitchell and harm to his reputation, which justifies the court awarding additional damages known as aggravated damages. This conduct, alleged by
that's
Mr.
wonderful.
Mitchell,
But
included
how do I make
first
money
making the
off
Bro.
depressed people?
Karl fired his first set of lawyers and paid his second set 400k plus in fees to take it all the way and not settle. He did everything he could to lose emo.
Thank you for the super chat. Wait a second. So I'm guessing that his first set of lawyers must have just probably said, listen, man, just settle this. It's going to be a lot better than taking it all the way to court. And he was like, no, not doing that. And he found the people that wanted to take it all the way or something. He fired the lawyers and told them to settle. Where can I see that exactly? That sounds absolutely insane to do that. You're retarded, stop this. No.
allegations recklessly and without checking their truth. Secondly, publishing the video twice. Thirdly, holding malice and
Did Apollo Legends blame Dark Viper for his suicide? If I recall, Dark Viper was mentioned, right? Isn't it weird that Karl could be Dark Viper was mentioned? Well, many are saying that, you know, many are saying that him reconciling with Dark Viper possibly contributed to this outcome. Many are saying that.
pursuing a vendetta against Mr. Mitchell. Fourthly, mocking Mr. Mitchell's complaint about the video and his legal action. Fifthly, persisting in his contention that Mr. Mitchell's action against Apollo Legend had contributed to his decision to commit suicide. And sixthly, failing to apologise and to withdraw the allegation. I have found that Mr. Jobst was reckless in making the allegations. His assertions were based on a fallacy, namely that Apollo Legend had paid Mr. Mitchell a large sum of money. That was simply wrong, and he had no reasonable basis for asserting it. Yet even after finding out the truth, he has continued to assert that the settlement had a negative financial impact on Apollo Legend, and that he still believes that the settlement was a contributing factor to his decision to commit suicide. Mr. Jobst was also reckless and vindictive in publishing the full video twice. At the time he republished it, he had been told by Mr. Mitchell, via his response video, by their mutual acquaintance Keemstar, and by Mr. Mitchell's lawyers, that what he had said about the payment was not true. He told Keemstar that he would not republish that part of the video unless he received concrete evidence that it was true. But by the time he republished it, he had not heard from Apollo Legend's brother, whom he had asked for information about the settlement, so he did not know any more than he had earlier, but he nevertheless decided to republish the entire video regardless.
Oh my god. What was he thinking, man? So, like, there's ways he could have done this which minimized what happened here, but he just did, like, he basically did everything as bad as possible. What, bro? Like, you know, as I say, the legal shit, I hate the legal shit, but, like, on a fundamental level, you cannot say things which are just not true. You know? You can have an opinion about something, but saying that there was a financial settlement when there wasn't a financial settlement is utterly unacceptable. Like, what are you like? What? Why? Why did you do that, bro?
Okay, that's wonderful. But how do I make money off depressed people?
Thank you for the super chats. Based Mitchell tabbing on soy cuck Jobst.
In his evidence, he said that he did this because he thought Mr. Mitchell would sue him anyway. His attitude appears to have been Well, if I'm going to be sued, I may as well go for broke and damn the consequences. It was reckless and showed an absolute disregard for the truth or for the effect of his video on Mr. Mitchell and his reputation. On 29 July 2021, that is about 6 weeks after he finally edited the video and took out the offending...
Do you think Karl getting a strike or ban on YouTube for harassment would have been more fair? I don't even think that's necessary. I don't even think that's necessary. I think you fuck up that badly, it should be someone fucking takes you to town for putting out a really shit video. I know that people love the idea that Karl Jobst is getting fucked illegally for this, right? But like, bro, this is a terrible thing more broadly because of all the negative impacts it can have beyond what we're seeing in front of us, you know? So I think that moving towards a culture, and I don't think this is going to be a thing necessarily, but that's only because YouTubers have normally not got enough money to do this. But if you're talking about wealthy people and they start fucking trying to clap you with lawsuits, that's going to be bad for like discourse and information, you know? But I mean, Karl Jobst made his own bed and he's got a lie in it. Like, he should have taken a different course here. And I think that, you know, especially as what he said was just plain wrong, he should have obviously backed down and then it probably wouldn't have got to this stage, you know?
passage.
Okay, that's
Mr.
wonderful.
Jobst
But
published
how
a
do I make
video
money
in which
off
he
depressed
retracted
people?
his statement.
Purposeful lying of the situation, getting a second set of lawyers. What other wretched paper-toned goblin have we seen doing that this year?
Thank you for the super chats.
That Apollo legend had paid Mr. Mitchell money, and he apologized to his viewers for having given them incorrect information.
Okay,
At the
that's
trial,
wonderful.
he relied
But how
on
do I
that
make
video as
money
being evidence
off
of his
depressed
bona
people?
fides,
What's harder,
and as
Sorry, I'm
publishing
missing
a
some of this.
retraction for one false statement on someone you have thoroughly dunked, or paying the most unlikable person $500,000?
Bro, that's the dude, that is such a good point, right? You could have all your other points about him and being a cheater and whatever, and all you've got to do is say, I fucked up here. I'm sorry to Billy Mitchell for saying this. It was incorrect and I shouldn't have said it. Whatever you need to say. And that'll be forgotten in a couple of days. And then you still get to have all of the other, like, you know, I think there's a reason that Billy Mitchell likely didn't pursue these other lawsuits he was threatening, because he probably didn't have as good grounds. And the reason he zeroed in on this one is because it's the one thing that you could get him on, you know?
On 29 July 2021, that is about 6 weeks after he finally edited the video and took out the offending passage, Mr. Jobst published a video in which he retracted his statement that Apollo legend had paid Mr. Mitchell money, and he apologized to his viewers for having given them incorrect information. At the trial, he relied on that video as being evidence of his bona fides and as reducing any harm caused to Mr. Mitchell by his original video. However, that video did not retract the imputations at all. It simply retracted the statement that Apollo legend had paid Mr. Mitchell a large sum of money. Mr. Jobst did not apologize to Mr. Mitchell in any way, rather apologizing to his viewers for having made an incorrect statement in the offending video. Also, this retraction video was, in total, a little over 30 minutes long. For the first 28 minutes and 24 seconds, it had nothing to do with arcade gaming, cheating, or Mr. Mitchell. It was about a particular type of speedrunning. It then went blank for a few seconds before it returned with Mr. Jobst's alleged retraction statement, which itself lasted only about 45 seconds. Even then, he wrongly said that Mr. Mitchell had not tried to contact him to clear up the error, and he insinuated that he still believed that Mr. Mitchell was responsible for Apollo Legend's decision. Finally, Mr. Jobst's conduct of this litigation, together with his additional online comments about it, were aggravating features of his conduct. He seems to see himself in defending this claim as a crusader against Mr. Mitchell.
Yeah, I mean, I've said this about other creators as well. They smuggle away some, like, thing that should be way more fucking out there at the end of a video. And this time round, it's had actual significant real-life consequence with doing so. Bro, just swallow your pride. You fucked up. Just say, I fucked up. And then do what you need to do and then move on from it.
With his additional online comments about it, were aggravating features of his conduct. He seems to see himself in defending this claim as a crusader against Mr. Mitchell. He is the last of the defendants who have been sued by Mr. Mitchell, and the only one, apart from Mr. Race, who has not backed down. Even in February...
Yeah, guys, I'm going to be looking at the other supplementary information on this, but I need to get through this first, and then we'll look at the videos to kind of assess this like idea that he misled his audience.
2024, as this action was progressing toward trial, he said in an online interview, quote, Billy Mitchell needs to be destroyed in court.
Okay,
These
that's
people
wonderful.
need to be
But how do I
punished in a
make
big way
money
before
off
they
depressed
stop.
people?
They need to get taught a lesson. So I am now the last chance.
Oh no, dude. It's why you don't talk about this shit, dude. It's why you don't talk about it. Like, if you're in the middle of like an actual legal case. Because it just... Oh my god, dude! Can't help but laugh at a total idiot who tried to wave around a corpse for a banger YouTube video and refused to back down when showed indefinite proof he was wrong. Yeah, that's the problem. Is he's made it very like impossible to be sympathetic towards him. It's very troubling situation. I mean, it kind of goes back to this, doesn't it? Do you ever run scripts for videos like this past a lawyer? No, I don't, because fuck lawyers. I mean, it is just next level hubris we're dealing with. Not good.
I am the last chance the public has to punish Billy. And also, the last person on YouTube you want to lose to is me. You know there's going to be 100 vids rubbing it in. I will never let Billy forget this, assuming I win. I've got to win first, but man, if I win, oh boy, I'm not going to be a good winner. End quote. Mr. Jobst clearly intended to be the knight who slew the Mitchell dragon. Unfortunately for him, his lance was not as strong as he believed it to be, and it has broken in the contest.
What?
I have found that all of this conduct has caused Mr. Mitchell additional personal harm and additional harm to his reputation. It was severely aggravating conduct that merits an award of aggravated damages. Again, I will come...
Also, like, as much as I think like it would be harder in the American system, based on what I'm hearing, it's possible that he might have even lost in America. Because what he said was, he did engage in a reckless disregard for the truth in terms of stating what he said in regards to this settlement lawyer shit. Like, to the settlement causing this guy's suicide. Bro, it's just terrible fucking idea all round.
Shortly to the amount of aggravated damages that I will award. I was asked by each party to make adverse findings about the truthfulness of the other party's witnesses and the reliability or otherwise of their evidence. In my full reasons, I have given...
What would you have suggested to Karl? I mean, you know, based on the details I'm hearing now, it would have been own your fuck up, take the L, apologise as necessary, and then fucking go about your merry way, calling him a cheater till the cows come home.
Detailed consideration to those submissions. I don't propose to reprise that discussion and my conclusions now. Having made these findings, I consider that Mr. Mitchell is entitled to an award of damages against Mr. Jobst. I have considered other comparative cases in order to help me to decide the appropriate amount. Under the Defamation Act of Queensland, the maximum amount of damages for non-economic loss, that is, general damages...
Well, the reason I say that as well is because it was a statement of fact that was wrong in saying that there was a financial settlement when there wasn't, right? If it had stated as an opinion, I'm not sure about Australia, but America, yeah, you can believe and say that you believe that someone's actions contribute to someone's suicide without... I think that would be okay because that's like an honest opinion. I don't think that would be considered necessarily like a factual statement, right? But yeah, I am locked in. Don't worry, it's all good. So I don't know, dude. I don't know. Like, obviously, he wrapped up what he was saying around something which was just wrong, plain wrong. And then everything from there was wrong. And he seemed to state it with certainty rather than with the kind of, you know, rather than like, oh, maybe, or I think this.
Not include help me to decide the appropriate amount. Under the Defamation Act of Queensland, the maximum amount of damages for non-economic loss, that is, general damages, not including any aggravated damages, is currently $478,500. That amount can only be awarded in the most serious case. In addition, though, in appropriate cases, additional aggravated damages can be awarded, and there is no statutory limit on aggravated damages. Mr. Jobst contended that for a number of reasons, any damages I award should be minimal, or at least reduced, due to two mitigating...
Yes, I will be going over the Alice document. I might get some of it today, but I can't do it all in one go. It's way too long, but I will get to it throughout the week.
factors. One of those factors was that he published the so-called retraction video. For the reasons I've already mentioned about that video, I do not consider that it had any mitigatory effect. Rather, publishing the retraction at the time and in the manner he did was an aggravating feature of his conduct. He did not publish it in a way that would draw it to the attention of the original audience, but instead essentially hid it from view. And of course, he did not retract any of the imputations against Mr. Mitchell, nor apologise to him. The second reason he gave for mitigation of damages was that Mr. Mitchell, he said, has contributed substantially to the harm he has suffered because he put the offending part of Mr. Jobs' video into his response video, saying, quote, "For those of you who haven't seen it, here's the clip."
Isn't it common knowledge that Mitchell is a fraud? Yeah, but the problem is it's not about whether or not he's a fraud. It's about whether or not he put in place a financial, got a financial settlement against someone which caused them to kill themselves, which isn't true. So that's the problem you've got.
End quote. Mr. Mitchell's video showing that clip has remained online ever since. It has been downloaded at least 155,000 times. As I say in my reasons, this submission might be described as suggesting that Mr. Mitchell called in an airstrike on his own position. I disagree, both by making the response video and by bringing this proceeding against Mr. Jobs. Far from calling in an airstrike on his own position, was necessary for Mr. Mitchell and reasonable for Mr. Mitchell to identify the enemy's position clearly in order to call in an airstrike on it. That is what he has done. He made clear in his response video that he denied the imputations made by Mr. Jobst and that what Mr. Jobst had said was false. His conduct in publishing this video was reasonable and it does not justify any reduction in the amount of damages. Factors particularly relevant in determining the appropriate amount of damages include the number and seriousness of the defamatory imputations, the extent of their publication, the effects they have had on the plaintiff personally and on his reputation, and what is known as the grapevine effect. The grapevine effect is the likelihood that the defamatory imputations have been and will be repeated to other people over time, and they may even surface again after this judgment. The grapevine effect arises particularly in cases of defamatory imputations made on social media or other internet sites, including
depressed people.
Apparently, Karl assisted his escape in his The Downfall of Apollo Legend video. The archives can be found on Google. Was Karl shifting blame?
Thank you for the
Okay,
super
that's
chats.
wonderful. But how do I make money off depressed people?
BM isn't just a fraud, but a litigious fraud.
Yep.
All the more reason to check your work.
Thank you for the super chat. Guys, the reality is, the reason that someone chooses to end their own life, complicated and multifaceted. Okay? And I don't think there's any one thing that you can point to, right? As funny as it is to point out that Dark Viper is specifically named in Apollo Legends suicide notes that he posted online, okay? I don't think the Dark Viper is responsible for, like, Apollo Legend topping himself, even though he specifically named him. Because I think that that creates a very dangerous precedent that someone can top themselves, write someone's random name down and go, oh, this person made me do it. And they might have done nothing that relevant to contribute to it. You know, it's like you can't ever attribute it to like an individual thing or one thing. And I think that if someone tops themselves, there's always going to be some baseline of health issues, normally mental health issues, that are likely to contribute to that. The overwhelm reason that mean that even if someone did contribute it to some way, they still wouldn't have done it if there wasn't an underlying issue. So I do not agree with this mentality of like, oh, well, you know, this person did this thing. You know, it gets to a point where it's like, so what, you can never criticize someone in case they might top themselves and they name you. Well, that seems like a completely unreasonable standard. You know? Yes, I'm soy, correct. I don't know much about a situation where people are saying he had like serious health issues. Yeah, exactly. There's probably a multitude of reasons he chose to do it. Yeah.
YouTube. In this case, there is ample evidence of the extent of the grapevine effect. It has been very extensive. The evidence is the number of comments on Mr. Jobs' video, and also comments made on another online personality.
Farms killed Apollo, another name on the trans redacted list.
Thank you for the $5. Oh, these are the messages that show that he was celebrating, apparently. My wife found 2 different places online. Apollo Legend is dead. If it is true, I will not shed a tear. I will try not to smile or giggle. No promises. Okay. Right. That's terrible. What a terrible thing to say. Do you have a moment to speak? I guess I won't hear from you because you're busy. Carlos had sent me something to send you, and that's what I was contacting you for. Meetings until broadcast. If Carlos put it in the dispute thread like everyone else, and it will get reviewed. I mean, it's a shitty thing to say, and you could say like, yeah, that's some evidence that he was like, you know, like somewhat happy with it or something, right? What was it Carl said about that? Maybe even that was overstated, but even then, I don't think that's a problem necessarily. It's clearly about the idea that he topped himself because of a financial settlement that never existed, you know, or financial payment that never existed.
These videos about Mr. Mitchell, which even recently included assertions that Mr. Mitchell had caused or contributed to Apollo Legends' suicide.
No, that wasn't Dark Viper. That was I think Billy Mitchell. That was Billy Mitchell talking about Apollo Legend there.
Coming to the amount of damages that I will award, Mr. Mitchell seeks $400,000 in general damages, that is, damages for non-economic loss, as it is described in the Defamation Act. In my view, that is too high, being too close to the maximum permissible amount. This is not one of the most serious cases, although it is at the higher end, especially given the most damaging imputation that Mr. Mitchell hounded Apollo Legend to death and the extent of publication. Mr. Mitchell's aggravating conduct has been serious and ongoing, including in his evidence at trial and in his publications about this litigation. It merits substantial aggravated damages, and Mr. Mitchell asked for $50,000 in aggravated damages. I have concluded that there should be judgment for Mr. Mitchell in the sum of $300,000 for non-economic loss and $50,000 in aggravated damages. As I say in my reasons, he may well have been justified in being ordered to pay more than $50,000 in aggravated damages, but that is the amount sought by Mr. Mitchell, and that is the amount I shall award. In addition, Mr. Jobst should pay interest on those amounts. Unless I receive submissions for some other...
Maybe that could be grounds for an appeal. Maybe you could appeal the amount. Maybe that could be a reason you appeal this.
As to interest, it seems to me, from other cases, that the appropriate rate and period of interest will be 3% per annum from the first date of publication to today.
Okay, guys. When someone sends me some sort of cease and desist, when some fucking wealthy YouTuber sends me a cease and desist, and I immediately fold, I want you to remember this. Call me a pussy by all means, okay? But I would take being called a pussy for a couple of days. Bro, this happened over the Dark Viper. Bro, all these people that were saying, no, Chud, you should file a fucking counterclaim and go to court with Dark Viper over fucking... No! I'm not going to do that. Fuck that. Thank fuck for that. God, I'd still be fucking wrapped up in litigation now. Thousands of pounds later. Bro, this is like fucking... This is the last thing that you want.
Amounts to a total of $40,446.58. Finally, ordinarily an unsuccessful party is ordered to pay the successful party's costs of the proceeding. At present, I see no reason why I should not make such an order against Mr. Jobst. However, I shall give the parties an opportunity to seek an alternative costs order, either now or by written submissions to be provided within 14 days.
What chance is he has this money to pay? How many videos did he make about Billy Mitchell? Probably quite a bit, right? He probably made a bit of money off of that.
Preferably now. The judgment of the court is therefore 1. Judgment for the plaintiff for damages for non-economic loss in the sum of $300,000 plus interest, subject to either party seeking a different order as to interest upon delivery of this judgment or by filing and serving a written submission within 14 days, of $34,668.50. Judgment also for aggravated damages in the sum of $50,000, plus interest of $5,778.08, subject to either party seeking a different order as to interest upon delivery of this judgment or by filing and serving a written submission within 14 days. 2. Unless either party seeks a different order as to costs, either upon delivery of this judgment or by filing and serving a written submission within 14 days, the defendant pay the plaintiff's costs of this proceeding. I published my reasons together with a short summary of those reasons. Both documents will be publicly available shortly on the Queensland Court's website. Are there any submissions on questions of interest and cost?
Wonderful. But how do I make money off depressed people?
That's tough, man.
Silk Song got announced at Nintendo Direct. Finally,
Thank you for the $5. I mean, as I say, I don't like this on a principled level because of the knock-on impacts it can have if we start engaging in fucking lawsuits for shit said on YouTube. But that being said, I mean, it's difficult to really argue Karl's case here. Like, Karl fucked up tremendously, made a claim that was wrong, didn't back down when given the opportunity to do so, and got sued into the ground. And he's up against it because people hate the Reddit tier, Billy Mitchell bad posting, you know. Like, yeah, there's just those 4 things I mentioned earlier that's just completely fucking him now. Big mistake to make, yeah. Let's have a look at his tweets about this. Let's have a look at his tweets about this. He says here, I lost. The judge found Billy to be a credible witness and believed his entire testimony. I mean, this feels like cope because it's not just about him being a credible witness. It's about the fact that he's looked at your videos and you did say those things and you seemingly, according to what he said, didn't meaningfully retract them. It's hard to defend Karl or take his side when he had every chance to prevent this. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. The cope here is fun. This is what I'm saying. I think he genuinely thought he was going to win. He genuinely thought he had a good case. And his arguments, from what I've seen, were terrible. Oh, but he's got a bad reputation anyway. I mean, what? Where is that even coming from, dude? He thought that just saying, well, he's a cheater, and therefore he's not credible. Yeah, but it's not about whether or not he cheated. It's about whether or not this so-called settlement, which never had a payment, happened as a result of it, led to Paul Alleged's killing himself, which apparently it didn't. There's no defense of Karl. Karl has put himself in a position where he's indefensible. And then stack on top of that, this misleading of his audience. You know, there's a reason there's been such a sharp turn on this. It's because hubris, making a big mistake about and a complete dishonest thing about what you said, and then the misleading the audience. You're just fucked. You're totally fucked. From that point on, unfortunately, there was really nothing that could have saved me. I will now obviously consider my options. I know many of you will be upset with this, and I'm sorry for that. Thank you again for all the support I've received, and I will endeavour to work as hard as I can to repay all that you were owed. And then as a community note, Jobst was unable to defend at least 5 separate claims he made in his videos about Billy Mitchell. The legal challenge primarily contested videos which implied Mitchell's prior behaviour and legal actions may have contributed to the suicide of YouTuber Apollo Legend. So he's getting community noted. And then on top of that as well, right, the other issue that you've got with this is so this happened, and I don't really hate this. I think this is fine, generally speaking. But he put up a video, like a sponsored video in the midst of all of this, and he got massive backlash for it. And I'm pretty sure I saw this floating about. There was a comment where he'd said, oh yeah, you know, I know about the lawsuit and I'm going to respond to it. And then he put like the ad read underneath it. Does anyone know what I'm talking about? Have that sent to me. But basically, he just like acted like it was business as usual. I don't hate that. I think that's fine. And if it was me, I'd be like, yeah, I need the fucking money. Obviously, get fucked. But he wants to obviously try and maintain some sort of like pristine reputation, you know? I removed my last video. Obviously, people are upset, so it's better I address the concerns of the public first and make a video explaining everything before releasing future videos. I would just ask you, wait for my video before making a full judgment. I'm sorry for releasing the video today. It was due to a sponsor obligation, but that's far less important than addressing your concerns. So that was his response when he got backlash for putting a video up. And then he put this out, which is responding directly to the claims that he misled his audience. And as I said earlier, my take on this is that there is some confusion because there was different lawsuits being touted, but it falls on Karl to clarify that, and he failed to clarify the situation, which led people to believe that the continuing lawsuit was about Billy Mitchell cheating when it wasn't. So it's like, well, that's on you, bro. Like, you can... I agree there was some confusion, but then you relied on that confusion in pursuing this case forward rather than just make a video making it clear. Because the thing is like, you know, clearly people were willing to support you if you were getting sued off the back of calling him a cheater, but they may not have wanted to support you on the basis that you'd said the stuff you said about Apollo Legends, and you not making it clear meant that people weren't able to make a choice, like an informed choice about whether or not they wanted to support you. So it's like, yeah, you should have made it clear and you didn't, and now you're going to suffer the consequences for that, you know? And this is the other tweet here, so let's have a look at this. There is a lot of lies being spread that I falsely claimed Billy sued me because I said he cheated. I never claimed this. I only claimed it was relevant as part of my defense. If that's the case, why is it that so many people thought that you were suing him over that he was suing you over cheating? Where did that come from then? Like, clearly, you're talking about this made people believe that it was about cheating. Now, look, obviously, if you'd have followed the case and read the documents, it would have been clear that that's not the situation. But the way that Karl presented it to his audience made that seem to be the case. And that's why so many people thought it was about the cheating. And it was such a fucking shock when it came out that it was nothing to do with the cheating, actually. And it was solely to do with these claims that he'd made about Apollo Legend. You know, it's like, bro, you've made so many videos about this. You couldn't have made a video saying, hey guys, this is what the lawsuit is about. Or even better, that you shouldn't have said that and apologized and maybe none of this would have happened. I didn't openly discuss certain details for obvious reasons, but I was never trying to hide why I was being sued. Okay, and what is this?
Me and was going to ignore me forever until he sued me in 2021. He also said this in a video he posted to his YouTube channel in June of 2021.
I was going to ignore Karl forever. But this cannot be ignored.
But this is a total lie. In 2020, he had already set his lawyer onto me, threatened to sue me, and demanded I pay him $150,000 because I said he cheated. In July of 2020, he sent me a concerns notice, which is the document you need to send to someone before you can sue them for defamation. And this was immediately after—
Okay, well, we're going to watch this full video anyway. But, I mean, where in that clip is it clear that it's over Apollo Legends beyond the title of the video being on the screen? Like, you didn't make it clear, bro. At no point did you make it clear. And I think that your lack of clarity misled people. And people have obviously been misled because so many people, it was such a surprise that it was anything to do with Apollo Legend because they thought it was about cheating.
After I posted my very first video that had anything to do with Billy Mitchell. In that letter, the lawyer says they have instructions to commence proceedings against me and demanded I pay $150,000, removed my video, and never talked about Billy again. So when he says he was ignoring me and that he wouldn't give me 10 seconds of credibility, this was a complete lie.
Okay, but time went on, and eventually, without a single source, except a now deleted post on Reddit. Now deleted post was his only source where he blamed me for taking the life of another human being.
Okay.
And for what I did to him. And I said, that's it.
Billy Mitchell is referring to the YouTuber Apollo Legend, who tragically took his own life in December of 2020. I won't go into specifics about this particular point because it does relate to his ongoing lawsuit against me. But again, everything he just said is a lie. I didn't say what he claims that I said, and my source for what I did say was not just a deleted post on Reddit. Billy knows all of my sources.
Okay. Right. Well, that is what he said is very deceptive then, isn't it? Like, what Karl is saying there is quite deceptive. It's like, I'm not going to talk about this except for things that make me look better. And that doesn't clarify what the details are. And this is completely like fucking looking at mud in terms of discerning what's going on. Yeah, this does not help his case. This doesn't help his case. I won't go into the details. Like, bro, how does this help you push back on the idea that you misled your audience? It doesn't. It's very unclear, and it's not a surprise that people are fucking surprised it's to do meaningfully with these claim about Apollo Legends. Oh, that's tough. That's tough. In this video, I fully allow Billy to explain why he was suing me. No, you don't. No, you don't. Well, we'll watch it. We're going to watch the full video anyway. We're going to watch the full video. And I specifically state that I chose not to go into too much detail because it related to the ongoing lawsuit. Furthermore, I never asked for money when Billy originally sued me. It was only after he sent me a second lawsuit and a threat of a third lawsuit, which were completely unrelated, that I needed to crowdfund. But then the problem you've got is you're crowdfunding for legal action that never happened, and then you're using those funds to fund another lawsuit, which is about a different claim. Like if there was like, say, 2 lawsuits, both relating to cheating claims, and the second one didn't go forward, and you use that to then fund the first one, which is about the same topic of him cheating or not, I don't think that people would have cared about that. But it's the fact that it was used to fund another lawsuit, which was not related directly to the cheating claims. Like, you know. So again, that's where the clarity comes in, and that's where what should have happened is you should have laid out, right, that lawsuit isn't going ahead. I've got this other lawsuit that's happening. It's about a different claim, and here's what the claim is. I'll leave it up to you if you want to be refunded or not. Or you should have done something. You should have done something with it in order to discern whether or not people were happy to use the funding for that, because it's a different thing that you're being sued for. A different claim that you're being sued for, I should say. Well, I wouldn't say it's like Keffals, necessarily. Okay? Because the Keffals thing is not... Like, Keffals, I think there was much more overt, outright dishonesty and lies in it. Right? I think there is some sort of confusion, or there's some sort of like uncertainty that makes it less difficult to really pin the same sort of malice on Karl here. Right? I think that it's different, but I can understand why people are upset about this and bothered about it. And I do think that Karl has misled his audience. But I don't think it's as like malicious as Keffals did, for example. You know, I think there is clearly a lawsuit happening there. And I think he just presumed that people would be happy for the money to get used because it was against Billy Mitchell, even though he did actually say something wrong and it was for a different aspect of what he'd said, you know? So yeah, there is confusion. I get that. But it's still on Karl to make that clear. And I can understand why people are bothered, because you didn't make it clear and you got to suffer the consequence for that. My total legal costs are well over 600k, so any money I received went to my lawyers. I did not intentionally try to deceive anyone or trick anyone just to defraud them or scam them out of money. But the criticism that I should have been more transparent is valid, and I'm sorry. Truthfully, I didn't want to repeat or mention any claims regarding Apollo Legend because it may have jeopardized my defense. I never intentionally lied regarding Apollo Legend either. I relied on incorrect information from multiple sources. I retracted the statements once I confirmed it was inaccurate, but apparently it was not sufficient. At some point, of course, I'll produce a video discussing everything, and I still believe the decision today was not the correct one. Well, I'd like to hear his side of it, but I'm pretty sure that is going to be his side. It is that it was confusing and there was different lawsuits being threatened. How do you get around the fact that you did not then make it clear? Like, you didn't make it clear, and people are misled then. So even if it's not as malicious on your end, you still took actions in which people then were misled because you weren't clear enough. You know? And I don't buy this idea that he couldn't have... Like, it's so crazy to me that he's like, I can't talk about it because it might jeopardize my case. And then he's saying, like, I'm not passing my videos by lawyers because who cares what they say? Fuck what lawyers have got to say. Like, it's like, do you really care that much about jeopardizing your case if you're not passing your videos by lawyers? Or, you know, are you not wanting to say it because maybe it makes you look bad? And maybe there is a bit of, like, malfeasance at play there then. Well, the thing is, it is hard to admit that you're wrong, particularly when it's against someone that you hate. But looking wrong for a fleeting moment and being, you know, admitting fault and looking like a pussy seems a far better outcome than what's happened, you know? So yeah. Okay, well, let's have a look. I did get sent this video and people were saying, you need to watch this. You guys have got to watch this.
Polo legend, who tragically took...
It's aged very poorly, and it goes into the detail. So let's watch this whole thing and see what we think about it, right? Let's have a look. So this is in response to Billy Mitchell's video about the Apollo Legend stuff, right?
Hello, you absolute legends. As most of you know, back in 2021, Billy Mitchell, Video Game Player of the Century, sued me for defamation, claiming damages of $450,000. Since that time, I have been defending myself rigorously, sparing absolutely no expense, hiring the best lawyers possible, and to date, I have incurred legal fees of $280,000. Fortunately, I haven't done this alone, and I've been blessed to have had the support of so many amazing people. For example, last year I launched a GoFundMe asking for help, which raised almost 150,000 Australian.
So, for example, people keep talking about this Karl Jobst Legal Defense Fund, and they're saying it doesn't mention the Apollo Legend stuff in there, right? But like, this here, from what Karl is saying, is a product of further lawsuits that were threatened. And initially, his claim is that he was going to fight it with his own money. And then as the lawsuit threats started racking up, he decided to start this legal defense fund. Now, I think if he'd in this legal defense fund laid out the various claims that were made against him by Billy, and he said, lawsuit number 1 claims X, lawsuit number 2 claims Y, etc., I think he'd have much better ground to stand on. Because then he could say, well, I did put it in there that it would be used for any and all of these lawsuits. But he obviously didn't. And whether or not he did that intentionally out of malice or not is obviously to be debated.
How do I make money off depressed people?
Thank you. Here's some cash for the Chud Legal Offence Fund. Thank you for the super chat. But yeah.
$. This has helped me and my family deal with this unpleasant situation tremendously, and we would be in serious trouble if it weren't for the kindness of strangers. The money that I receive goes towards fighting Billy Mitchell and defending myself, and Billy Mitchell is extremely upset that I've had help. You see, Billy likes to wear an American flag tie and claims to espouse American values, but this is just an act. If there is one thing Billy hates more than anything else, it's due process. Billy doesn't want me to be able to afford a good defense. He despises you for helping me because he is a tyrant and hates resistance. And honestly, he's scared. Billy has been a bully his entire life, picking on those that he perceives as weak, and now that people are fighting back, he is falling apart. Billy is so upset about my GoFundMe that he recently went on an unhinged rant talking about how everyone has been deceived and I've been lying to people to steal money and profit from the situation. In typical Billy fashion, his rant was entirely made up of lies, and given that I'm an expert in what's happening between him and I thought I would go over his accusations and let you know what really happened.
Okay, this is really bad. I'll go over the allegations and let you know what really happened. But he doesn't reveal key details about one of the cases, saying he can't speak on it. Okay, this looks really fucking bad. This looks really bad for Karl. I know he's trying to use this as evidence to back him up. But it just comes across to me like, I mean, this works against him, does it not? I mean, it's hard for me to rationalize him not acting intentionally of excising out the worst possible aspects of the claim, like, you know, the most damning claims against him. It just so happens that that part gets excised out and he can't talk about that. But he can talk about every other aspect of it that makes him look good. I don't know, dude. That's pretty rough.
I don't know why Billy thought it would be a good idea to publicly lie about ongoing legal proceedings, but then again, I don't know why Billy does anything Billy does. Billy is now trying to spin the narrative that he is the good guy and I'm the evil liar who's deceiving everyone. And what's possibly more bizarre than anything else, there were people in the crowd that actually believed what he was saying. Some people still don't realize he lies about everything. And I mean everything. Even things that can be checked in literally 2 seconds. So let's go over Billy's recent rant about me and unpack all of his lies. I really hope you enjoy. Now, legends, this video is sponsored by Dragon City.
Yes,
Dragon City is a
Let's
really
go.
fun game where you build your own dragon empire by collecting, hatching, and evolving over 1,000 unique dragons. After collecting these bad boys, it's your mission to make them more powerful by feeding them, training them, and battling them against other dragon masters. The more they fight, the higher the rank each dragon becomes, which makes them stronger. Naturally, you'll need to give your dragon army a good home, and as you work your way through the game, you can build a ton of unique structures that give you benefits. Personally, I am a huge fan of the event minigames that are both fun and allow you to get
Well, someone was saying in chat, and I don't know how true this is, so take it with a pinch of salt, but apparently he had one legal team, he canned them and got another legal team, and allegedly the first legal team told him to settle. But I've not seen anything about that, so I don't know.
rewards. My favorite so far is Heroic Race, and I am a master at these types of games. I mean, look at me go.
Where's the
You
evidence
just
of that? Let
can't
me
teach
see.
this.
You got it.
You can play Dragon City on iOS, Android, or PC. And if you download today using my link in the description or QR code on screen, you will get a special bundle with 15,000 food, 30,000 gold, and the very rare Neo Izumi Dragon to get you started. Before we listen to Billy Mitchell talk, I want you to understand how Billy works. When he talks, he only says what he thinks makes him look good. It doesn't matter if what he is saying is completely false or can be debunked.
Oh, dude, this is... Oh, my God. This is aged like milk in a warm room. Right, what? Oh, my God, this is so bad, dude. Listen again.
Billy Mitchell talk, I want you to understand how Billy works. When he talks, he only says what he thinks makes him look good.
Oh,
it doesn't
no.
matter if what he is saying is completely false or can be debunked instantly. He'll just say what he thinks sounds good in the moment. Previously, Billy
Bro, this is like the pinnacle of like an anti-Reddit jerkwave we're seeing now, right? Everyone is like going so against Karl. And a portion of that is because people are fucking sick of, oh yeah, Billy Mitchell bad, Reddit posting, oh he's a cheater, blah, blah, blah. And this just exemplifies that. And then he's been exposed and now everyone's fucking like, yeah, Billy Mitchell's based actually. Bro, man. Also unnecessary.
has had success with this method of lying because the unfortunate truth is that most people will never fact-check themselves. The only reason his lies are being exposed to the public right now is because people like me and the new owner of Twin Galaxies do actually put effort into uncovering the truth. Billy does not care at all how easily his lies can be refuted. He will say the sky is green if he thinks it makes him sound good, even though all anyone would have to do to disprove this is simply look up. And
do you think all the videos Karl made on BM to milk money off of him helped turn public tide? Possibly, yeah. I think that's part of it, yeah. Some people just got really sick of hearing how bad Billy Mitchell was, and it creates this energy of people wanting to, like, you know, I kind of ironically support him because of how annoying it is, or the Reddit tier. Billy Mitchell bad, actually.
And Billy's ability to lie about such ridiculous things confidently has gotten him very far in the past. So
Right.
keep this in mind whenever you listen to him talk. Now, this talk happened last month at a small gaming convention in England, where he claimed to be doing a Q&A. But the lady asking him questions was an obvious Billy shill who was parroting his talking points and giving him softballs to answer.
That is currently a case that's still going through the court process.
Thank you, the super chats.
With Karl Jobst, isn't there? And obviously that's something that every time there's a video that goes up with your name on, especially around the subject of Apollo or cheating, that gets views, that gets clicks, that gets people noticing it, and that makes those guys lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of money in the background as well. We all know how Twitch and YouTube and everything work. I don't think that's...
Wait, what is this woman saying? Sorry, I'm kind of droning her out a bit.
court process. That is currently a case that's still going through the court process with Karl Jobst, isn't there? And obviously that's something that every time there's a video that goes up with your name on, especially around the subject of Apollo or cheating, that gets views, that gets clicks, that gets people noticing it, and that makes those guys lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of money in the background as well. We all know how Twitch and YouTube and everything work. I don't think...
I mean, what is she like? Yeah, sure, she's probably some Billy Mitchell shill, but what is she saying that's wrong? Like, what she's saying is true. Like, this is exactly what happened here, right?
There's a single person here that doesn't.
I give you credit. You've done your homework.
Yeah, I know what I'm talking about sometimes. Not often. Sometimes I know what I'm doing.
Okay. I'm the only arcade gamer that he streams about. He arguably gets more views off me than anybody. He said what he said, and he said it constantly, and I don't care. I mean, I couldn't give him 10 seconds worth of credibility. Nothing. Zero.
Billy likes to tell this story about how he was never going to acknowledge me and was never going to waste any energy on me and was going to ignore me forever until he sued me in 2021. He also said this in a video he posted to his YouTube channel in June of 2021.
I was going to ignore Karl forever. But this cannot be ignored.
But this is a total lie. In 2020, he had already set his lawyer onto me, threatened to sue me, and demanded I pay him $150,000 because I said he cheated. In July of 2020, he sent me a concerns notice, which is the document you need to send to someone.
So just to be clear, this concerns notice was about cheating then. And then the later one was about the Apollo Legend claim in 2021. Is that right?
Before you can sue them for defamation. And this was immediately after I posted my very first video that had anything to do with Billy Mitchell. In that letter, the lawyer says they have instructions to commence proceedings against me and demanded I pay $150,000, removed my video, and never talked about Billy again. So when he says he was ignoring me and that he wouldn't give me 10 seconds of credibility, this was a complete lie.
Also, yeah, people are saying about this as well. Because in that video there, I think it's been deleted now. I think that Billy Mitchell's taken it down, I believe. But I'm pretty sure, like, he obviously makes it clear what the exact claim he's going at Karl is. What, like, the exact claim that he's taking Karl to court over, he states and talks about. But, like, for some reason, Karl has cut that out. Like, how can broadcasting someone else's video talking about why they're taking you to court be something that you can't do because of the legal proceedings? It feels like that's intentional, and it feels like Karl is editing this in a certain way in order to eliminate people's ability to understand exactly what this lawsuit is about. And he talks a lot about the cheating. So as much as Karl wants to try and use this to back him up, I think Karl has edited this in a certain way in order to give the impression that it's more about the cheating than to do with Apollo Legends. So, yeah, I think this is quite dishonest, and it's not a surprise that people, you know, feel misled by what Karl has done, you know?
Okay, but time went on, and eventually, without a single source, except a now deleted post on Reddit, now deleted post, was his only source where he blamed me for taking the life of another human being and for what I did to him. And I said, that's it.
Billy Mitchell is referring to the YouTuber Apollo Legend, who tragically took his own life in December of 2020. I won't go into specifics about this particular point because it does relate to his ongoing lawsuit against me. But again, everything he just said is a lie. I didn't say what he claims that I said, and my source for what I did say was not just a deleted post on Reddit.
So what source was it then? Because it was wrong. What source did you use to verify the claim that there was this payment when there never was a payment, which led to Apollo Legend topping himself, none of which seems to be correct? And by this point, so this is 2023, so by this point, it's surely well established that what Karl had said about the Apollo Legend stuff was just wrong. And he's still making videos like this, talking like this about it. Dude, this is just like a total disaster, man. What an absolutely disastrous, retarded thing to do.
Billy knows all of my sources because I gave them to him as part of the proceedings. And once the lawsuit is over, which should be hopefully very soon, all of the details will be made public.
And I said, that's it. What kind of person am I, even to my family, if I would allow someone to do that unanswered?
I will show you exactly the kind of person Billy Mitchell is. As part of the legal proceedings against Twin Galaxies, text messages were made public between Billy and other people. These messages showed that in March of 2018, Billy thought that Apollo legend had died. Of course, that didn't end up being true, but let's see how Billy reacted to this news. In his messages to Carlos Pinheiro, who was helping to defend Billy at the time, Billy says, "My wife found online, Apollo legend is dead, no joke." To which Carlos responds, "What? Oh my god." Billy says, "If it is true, I will not shed a tear. I will try my very hardest not to smile or giggle." Carlos couldn't find any sources, so Billy tries to help him by saying, "My wife said to Google Apollo legend, Reddit dead." Carlos replies, "I see nothing solid." To which Billy replies, "I certainly hope you find something solid." Oops, was I not supposed to say that? I'll see if I can get my wife to find it again. So not only did Billy sue a kid with major health issues for $1 million, but he hoped he was dead, and said that if he was dead, it would make him—
he's... What the fuck? He's still talking. He's still commenting on the fucking thing, which he's currently being fucking sued for being defamatory over. What was he thinking, dude? Literally in the middle of litigation. He's saying all this shit about it. This is fucking disastrous. He's doubling down in this video. Oh my god, bro. What was he thinking? This is why, by the way, stuff like this is clearly why he got reamed so hard. Because at this point as well, he's still not making it clear the nature of the lawsuit by saying it's like $1 million where, you know, in the end there was no money that changed hands and all he had to do was hand over the rights to the video to Billy Mitchell, which sucks, don't get me wrong, but, you know, he's still implying that there was this big fucking amount of money involved. When no money even... You know, Billy didn't even go after the guy for money in the end. Tunnel vision from hate and ego. Yeah, I mean, it's just... Karl is indefensible here. What possible defense can you make of Karl? Karl totally fucked this up by acting like this.
him want to smile and giggle. And why did Billy feel this way? Because Apollo legend said he cheated in a video game, which is a proven fact. And it wasn't just close friends that Billy expressed his joy over Apollo's death to. He even sent these messages to Jace Hall, the owner of Twin Galaxies who he is now suing. He was so happy that he just had to tell as many people as he could. That's the kind of person Billy Mitchell is.
And so you address it and you try to resolve it. But when somebody thinks they're in a different place and they think there's nothing you can do about it and they think they can just laugh at you, you can either let them do that or you can pursue it. So we pursued it. The complaint actually says nothing, not a single word about video games. Nothing.
Wait a minute, Billy. Would you mind saying that again?
The complaint actually says nothing, not a single word about video games. Nothing.
Okay, so Billy is claiming that the complaint says nothing about video games. But let's do a quick test to see if you are all following along at home. Knowing what we know about Billy Mitchell being a pathological liar, if he says the complaint says nothing about video games, what are the odds that the complaint mentions video games multiple times in the very first paragraph?
Those messages were from 2018 too. BM and
Which
Apollo
complaint, though?
reportedly made amends after the settlement, well before his passing. Blatant
Thank you for the
dishonesty.
super chat and the
Okay, that's
membership.
wonderful. But how do I make money off depressed people?
John Bow became a member.
But which complaint? Because if the complaint is in relation to the Apollo Legend thing, then... Okay, well, let's see what he says.
Well, here's the complaint, and what's this? Billy Mitchell mentions video games multiple times in the very first paragraph. I can't believe Billy Mitchell would lie like this. This is so out of character. And can we...
Okay. I think the point that Billy Mitchell is making is my issue with Karl is not related to video games. It's related to the comments he made about Apollo Legends. Okay?
We just mentioned video game billions.
Nothing. So we pursued it. The complaint actually says nothing, not a single word about video games. Nothing.
So I don't think he's saying that the entire legal document, assuming we're talking about the same
how do I make
complaint, right?
Off depressed people?
You just know the completionist has been grinning ear to ear these
True.
past few weeks. Skull emoji.
Thank you for the super chat. I think the point he's making is the complaint that I'm making against Karl is not about the video games, it's about the Apollo Legends stuff. So the actual meat and potatoes of the lawsuit is not related to video games, it's related to the Apollo Legend comments. And then Karl is doing this sort of smug Reddit tier. Well, I think you'll find that video games are actually mentioned here. And it's like, well, that's the background information. That doesn't necessarily speak to the nature of the complaint that you're making, right?
Wait a minute, Billy. Would you mind saying that again?
The complaint actually says nothing. Not
This
a
is
single
terrible,
word about video
dude.
games.
This ain't so
Nothing.
badly.
Okay, so Billy is claiming that the complaint says nothing about video games. But let's do a quick test to see if you are all following along at home. Knowing what we know about Billy Mitchell being a pathological liar, if he says the complaint says nothing about video games, what are the odds that the complaint mentions video games multiple...
So this is the misleading part as well, isn't it? This is the misleading part too. Because if you actually take Billy Mitchell with the context of what he's saying, I'm not actually going after Karl this time for the video game stuff. It is because of the Apollo Legends shit. That's the point that he's trying to make. And he's sort of like, you know, deceptively and smugly going, haha, well, it mentions video games here. This adds more confusion to the situation. And it moves people further away from understanding that the point that's being made is this is all about the comments he made about Apollo Legends. Fucking hell, dude. Dude, it's tough because I hate this shit. I hate the fact that wealthy people can use lawsuits to fuck with people's speech. It's just Karl is not paid him, he's fucked up tremendously at every step of the way. And so as much as I don't like it, it's difficult to really not be like, yeah, Karl fucked himself completely here.
times in the very first paragraph. Well, here's the complaint, and what's this? Billy Mitchell mentions video games multiple times in the very first paragraph.
Oof.
I can't believe Billy Mitchell would lie like this. This is so out of character. And can we just take a moment to appreciate how hilariously pathetic it is that Billy Mitchell felt the need to introduce himself in a lawsuit as someone who has a Guinness World Record in a video game?
Also, when we talk about the complaint, does that mean the entire document? I thought the complaint was just the actual laying out of the legal issues that you have. This just seems like background that isn't necessarily the complaint itself.
This is a 58-year-old man, by the way.
The complaint actually says nothing, not a single word about video games. Nothing. But he has gone online and has led you to believe that it has to do with the allegations. And it doesn't.
Oh, he's right about that, though. Billy Mitchell's right about that.
Never spoken about what the lawsuit is actually about. I haven't led anyone to believe anything. I've said that I'm being sued for defamation, but I've never talked about the specifics of the lawsuit, and I won't talk about them until the lawsuit is over.
Okay, you've never talked about the specifics, but you've spoken a lot about him cheating and don't seem to have spent much time, if at all, maybe a few brief moments talking about the Apollo Legends stuff. I mean, not good. Not good. Well, this is the thing. A lot of this content is reliant on you just fucking hating Billy Mitchell and so not thinking about it or looking at it, you know? Yeah, I think I think that, because at first I was like, well, maybe it was like, you know, confusing and unintentional. That's a possibility before I've looked at this. But looking at all this information, I find it difficult to reach any other conclusion other than Karl was, you know, intentionally taking actions to mislead people about what the actual nature of the lawsuit was. Which comes across extremely deceptive. Extremely deceptive. And seems intentional to me. You know, I think knowing that people would not be as ready to get behind a lawsuit when it's about the Apollo Legend stuff, but would be if it was just about the cheating shit. And the fact that so many people, I've seen literally fucking endless, countless people go, I thought it was about cheating. I didn't realize it was about this Apollo Legend stuff. Like, go on Twitter and everyone's fucking saying that, bro. So people have been misled en masse about this.
However, I will say that Billy Mitchell being a video game cheater is extremely relevant to the lawsuit. Billy Mitchell being happy about Apollo Legend dying is extremely relevant.
My God,
Billy
dude.
Mitchell abusing the legal system is extremely relevant. Billy's problem is that he doesn't understand.
Come on, dude. Yeah, it's relevant in terms of you mounting a shitty defense. Come on, bro. And you're really going to try and argue that there wasn't like an intent to mislead there? That is misleading. You're not talking about the detail, but you're stating it in a misleading way. Obviously, people are going to conclude that the reason he's doing this is over the cheating if you say shit like that. Also,
will say the effects of the lawsuit, and I won't talk about them until the lawsuit is over. However, I will say that Billy Mitchell being a video game cheater is extremely relevant to the lawsuit. Billy Mitchell being happy about Apollo Legend dying is extremely relevant. Billy Mitchell abusing the legal system is extremely relevant. Billy's problem is that he doesn't understand.
Oh my God, dude. Oh. Yeah, I can't tell you about the details, but let me tell you about the arguments. One of which is that cheating is extremely relevant. The cheating part was only relevant for his own defense. It wasn't relevant to the claim that Billy Mitchell was making because it was all about Apollo Legends. Dude, this is like a monumental L. Like, what an absolute disaster, man. How is he going to spin this, bro? Yeah. This it seems intentional. I don't know how, like, listening to this now, it seems like he's crafted this to, so you've got the fact here that this is about the claims that Karl made in regards to the Apollo Legend suicide. And all the statements and claims are made to swerve around that and make it so you don't focus or talk about that in any meaningful way. And we're constantly led back to thinking about the cheating or supplementary information about the Apollo Legend shit. Tough situation.
And the legal system, and especially the one in Australia. So his fantasy about what the lawsuit should be about is not rooted in reality and only exists inside his head.
Okay, and it's proceeding. But here's what bothers me. You're the guy I pick on. He goes online. He does a video. He'll make between the money he gets from YouTube based upon the views, because I'm an extremely high view for him, along with the sponsorship, he'll get about $30,000 for a video.
Holy shit, I wish I made $30,000 per video. He is pulling numbers out of his ass here, and he has absolutely no idea what I make. Trust me, I make a good amount, but it's certainly not that much. I also like how Billy says that he's an
as much for on Karl, I do think he fooled himself thinking he was right. I mean, there were lots of like you know, you've still got to judge Karl on his behavior. You can't take that away because that's how we look at people's actions. What's your behavior? What do we think about that? But like, I mean, bro, he obviously got wrapped up in his own ego, and there was like massive financial incentive for him to do what he was doing, you know? So, you know, like, you know, I mean, it's, bro, there's no way that I could look at this and not severely condemn Karl. Even with the confusion that he's touting about the different lawsuits. I mean, it seems very intentional how he structured it here. What other way are you supposed to look at this?
Extremely high view for me as some kind of boast because he wants to make himself sound important. Sure, people love laughing at Billy because he is a walking circus after all, but I get a lot of views no matter what I talk about. If you look at a snapshot of my channel, I get a lot of views if I talk about random cheaters or if I talk about awesome achievements. The irony is that right now, it's me that's making Billy famous, and if I stopped talking about him, no one would care about him ever again. He is a disgraced cheater that everyone hates, no one wants him around, and I'm the only thing keeping him relevant.
He'll get about $30,000 for a video.
Bro, imagine thinking like this is something like about someone and handing them such a tremendous win. It's like, oh man. Massive Icarus moment. Massive Icarus moment. And because Karl is so pale, he got sunburnt when he was up there as well, so doubly bad.
It's possible to get somebody in this room to lie for $30,000. It's not something we should do.
Also, as much as I think the consequence for saying shit should be people respond and talk shit about you, who the fuck is making the video saying, oh yeah, Billy Mitchell's actually got a point here? There clearly wasn't a fucking appetite for that, and people didn't want to fucking be the guy that defended Billy Mitchell, right?
Okay, that's wonderful. But how do I make money off depressed people?
Thank you for the super chats. So it's like, I don't know what else you could, like, people were singing Karl's praises and were massively on his side over this. So, you know, what, Billy Mitchell puts out a video and says he's bullshit. Well, he did put out a video and explain exactly why he was taking Karl to court. And apparently people didn't watch it or take it into account.
This argument is always funny, but it's even more hilarious when the guy saying it is wearing an American flag tie. As I said at the beginning of the video, Billy acts like he loves American values, but he really doesn't. His claim is that if I make a lot of money, it's not because I'm creating a good product or providing a useful service, it could only be because I'm lying. But isn't the entire American dream based around the idea that working hard and achieving success is a good thing? Billy even tries to give off the image of success himself by wearing a suit. But if his logic were to hold true, if he was successful, which he isn't, that would mean intrinsically that his video game scores are not to be trusted. I mean, he does make money off them, and people who make money must be lying, so therefore Billy must lie about his video game scores for money.
It's possible to get somebody in this room to lie for $30,000. It's not something we should do. But then you go on there and you say he's suing me again. He puts up nothing, no proof, anything that he's being sued again. Nothing. There is one complaint in there, and that's the original complaint.
Even though I've researched Billy a lot, and I know how much he lies, when he publicly lies about things he and his lawyers have done to me, it still shocks me every time. When it comes to lying, he is absolutely fearless. Here, he is talking about my video titled, Billy Mitchell Has Gone Insane.
H3 level mistake. An unforced error while being somewhat sympathetic. Nobody likes Billy, but nobody likes lies of omission.
Yeah.
Wow. A-okay.
Wow, indeed. Thank you for the super chats.
And I need your help. This is the video where I advertised my GoFundMe to help with legal fees. Billy claims that I said he was suing me again while providing zero proof. But again, if you watch the video, you see instantly that this is a complete fabrication. I mean, I quite literally show the second lawsuit on screen when talking about it. First, Billy sent me this concerns notice in regards to my video that outlined allegations he was trying to extort witnesses. Again,
Yeah, I feel like the confusion is the point. I'm a bit confused looking at this. Right? But I don't know what happened with these lawsuits. But it seems like there was only ever one that went the distance. But I think he is intentionally trying to make it confusing so that you don't really understand what the fuck is going on. And then you look back and you go, well, that was all kind of confusing, wasn't it? Well, no, I don't think it was confusing. Like, maybe there was other threats and stuff, and you could talk about the threats, certainly. But it seems like there was only one that went the distance, which was this thing about Apollo Legends, right?
This is a required document to send before you sue someone. This was the third concerns notice he had sent me by this point, by the way.
The words in ordinary natural meaning understood mean that Billy Mitchell, to help him in his defamation claim against Twin Galaxies, is prepared to blackmail a witness about whom Mitchell has obtained sensitive and damaging information. Billy Mitchell is attempting to extort false evidence from potential witness. So these look like threats. So there's threats of lawsuits being made, I think. I think Billy did threaten a few lawsuits against Karl, but it was only one that went the distance. I think is that what I'm understanding? Like, I think one thing that seems to be true is that Billy Mitchell is a very litigious person who will threaten lawsuits against people in order to, you know, get them to stop, like, fucking saying shit, right? So it seems like he was fucking saber rattling a bit with some of this, but then the one he knew he could get him on, he went hard at because he thought he had a good case, right? That seems to be what's happened here.
Then he sends me the second lawsuit, which I can show on screen now. I'm not making this up. This is a real thing that was sent to me by Billy's lawyer. This has nothing to do with the first lawsuit. It's a brand new one for a video I uploaded in 2022. And he again was seeking an extra $450,000 in damages. On top of this, his lawyer sent me a letter saying that he had instructions from Billy to file the lawsuit against me if I didn't offer to make amends, which
We're attaching a draft statement of claim, which instructs to file at the expiration. Okay. Right.
of course, I didn't do, because everything I said in the video was true. Naturally, if Billy Mitchell, who sues everyone and is already suing me for something ridiculous...
Also notice that as well. Everything I said in the video was true. So throughout the video as well, he's saying things which make it seem like he's a paragon of truth and virtue, saying things correctly. And this retraction, I'm fairly certain I've seen is buried away in some other video before. So it's like, you're not even making clear here that you have said things which aren't true, and you're making it seem like everything you're saying about this guy is all above board and above reproach, which isn't correct. You have said things which are incorrect about this guy.
Sends me a second lawsuit and has his lawyer literally tell me they were going to file it against me. I'm going to believe they will file it against me. Billy is right though. There is only one official complaint against me currently. And you know why that is? It's because Billy was either lying or changed his mind. I guess his legal threats ended up backfiring when I made my video saying he was going to sue me again, and I ended up getting a ton of support. Now he is pissed off because his scare tactic didn't work. At the time I made that video, everything I said was true. It's not my fault Billy ultimately decided to back out. It's a shame too, because he would have lost a ton more money when he ultimately lost.
Nothing. There is one complaint in there, and that's the original complaint. So when the attorney sends his attorney a letter and says, your client is fraudulently claiming that we filed a second and third lawsuit against him, you know, that is not right. It's called a letter of concern.
This correspondence between lawyers that he's talking about never happened, and it's so sad that Billy is spending thousands upon thousands of dollars on his lawsuit against me, and he's...
These videos are so gay. Why did anyone ever like these? Because Billy Mitchell cheated at video games, and he's a litigious fucker. Like, I mean, I don't know, dude. Like, people just, I mean, I think I might have... Did I cover this? I might have talked about it briefly, but I wasn't really that interested or invested in any of it. I can't remember. Did I remember if I watched these? They definitely didn't become a segment. But yeah, Billy's easy to hate, you know? And now you got the ironic pro-Billy Mitchell backlash because people are so sick of all the fucking Reddit tier hate about him.
Still doesn't even know what the basic documents are called. He was trying to say that he sent me a concerns notice, but he called it a letter of concern. But ignoring the name of the document, he didn't send me a concerns notice. I mean, he has sent me concerns notices before. He sent me one in 2020 for saying that he cheated. He sent me one in 2021 in regards to Apollo Legend. He sent me two in 2022 for reporting on accusations of extortion, and also for including a 10-second meme of him that I didn't even create create. But in regards to my GoFundMe, all his lawyer did was ask me why I was doing a GoFundMe and talking about a second lawsuit. But after my lawyer responded saying that everything I said was a fact and it was them who were the ones saying they were going to file a second lawsuit against me, I didn't hear from them ever again about it. I guess they realized how utterly ridiculous they look.
He starts a GoFundMe because the bad boy is suing him again. He needs money. And you are so silly, you hear what he says, and you donate money without any knowledge or any background. And the GoFundMe is at $150,000.
Oh, dude! This has aged very poorly for Karl and fantastic for Billy Mitchell. Billy Mitchell, I'm afraid to say to the Billy Mitchell haters, he's right. People didn't look into the background and just handed over their fucking money. Bro, he's right about this.
You hear what he says, and you donate money without any knowledge or any background. And the GoFundMe is at $150,000. $30,000 for the video. You give him $180,000 based upon a lie.
Yes, it was based upon a lie that you created, Billy. If you didn't send me a second lawsuit and lie and say that you will file it against me, I wouldn't have said that you were going to file a second lawsuit.
So what I need to understand then is which of these are just like legal threats, which are obviously still fucked up and wrong to just try and threaten legal action, and what are actually filing of lawsuits. Because if it's true that only one lawsuit was filed, which is the one about the Apollo Legends stuff, and the rest was just legal bluster and saber rattling, then this looks pretty bad for Karl once again, because he's making it seem like it's more confusing than it is. If it is just one lawsuit that ended up getting filed.
But how do I make money off depressed people?
Thank you for the super chats. Karl's fans' money is just going to Billy. Yes, dude. That, bro. All the people that supported to take down Billy Mitchell, and all that money's going in Billy Mitchell's pockets. Oh. That's... Oh, man. Okay. Okay, I don't know. I need more clarity.
Suit against me. But regardless, I didn't create the GoFundMe because of the second lawsuit. If you actually watch the video and read the description of the GoFundMe, instead of just taking Billy's word for it, you'll see the main reason I was asking for money was because I ran out of funds for the existing lawsuit. And I said that it was going to cost at least another $100,000 to get through that. And unfortunately, my estimate ended up being way too low, because we still haven't gotten to trial, and it's already cost me another $100,000 since I made that video.
And you are so silly, you hear what he says, and you donate money without any knowledge or any background.
Billy is extremely upset here because he hates the idea of someone having the money to defend themselves in court. If Billy was so sure he was going to win, he wouldn't mind if I was able to put up a good defense, because that's everyone's right. And Billy believes in American values like due process, right? Why is it a bad thing if someone is allowed to defend themselves properly? From the way he speaks, Billy seems more...
Okay. Right, bro. What Billy is saying is that people are handing money to you without knowing the background of it. And it seems like that's the case, because lots of people are now upset that you misled them about what it was about. So Billy Mitchell was correct, it seems. The people didn't seem to know what it was all about. And they hadn't looked at the background of it.
Anti-American than anything.
And the GoFundMe is at $150,000. $30,000 for the video. You give him $180,000.
This is the amount of money I made from that video, which is less than 10% of what Billy was claiming.
Bro, bro. That is insane. 2,000, bro. This guy was fucking making money hand over fist over this guy. I mean, he's overstating how much the money... It is true that he's overstating how much money the video makes, though. But that's still a pretty penny.
And the video wasn't sponsored, so Billy is just lying about everything. On top of that, he is intentionally conflating US dollars with Australian dollars. The GoFundMe is at around 150,000 Australian dollars, which, after conversion fees and GoFundMe fees are removed, ends up being less than $100,000 USD. Billy just can't help but lie about every single point he makes.
What do you want me to tell you? I don't have an answer. You can get a lot of people to do a lot of things for $180,000.
I'm not getting $180,000. I can't just take this money and go on a holiday in Jamaica. I still have legal bills to pay. Ultimately, that money isn't going to me, it's going to my lawyers. Even with all the money I've been given or raised, it still won't cover my legal fees. My lawyers are really expensive, but they are expensive because they are good. The reality is that you get what you pay.
Reading court docs, and the judge said it's not as defamatory as being called a paedophile. Lol. At some point it appears the defendant's counsel did change.
Thank you for the super chat. Yeah, I don't know about the narrative of like he changed lawyers because they wanted to settle, but who knows? Who knows what happened?
Pay for. So yes, I have spent a lot, but I have a really good team, which drastically increases my chances of successfully defending myself.
He had a great team that had fantastic legal arguments, such as, well, he had a bad reputation anyway, so what does it matter if I, essentially, if I suggest his results for suicide?
Money off depressed people.
Hi, wow.
Wait, it said it differently. Thank you for the $5 plants. Why did it say it differently? Is it because it's all capitals? What the fuck?
I will put on screen a couple of yearly totals to show that yes, it really does cost this much.
It's unbelievable to me that many people are led in that direction.
Yes, it's truly unbelievable that people are led in the direction of someone like me, who presents evidence for their claims and has fact-checkable proof for everything. And
oh, come on, dude. What about the time that you totally made up, it seems, or off the faulty information claimed that Apollo Legend topped himself because of a legal settlement for an amount of money that never happened? Oh my god, dude. Bro, all you need to do is if he'd done this and previously admitted he was wrong about that more clearly, all you need to do is just say that you got one detail wrong or something and then the rest is right, like the cheating show or whatever. Oh my god, dude. This is a disaster for Karl. Total disaster. Total disaster. Why has he done this to himself?
they don't believe a pathological liar who provides no evidence whatsoever and has been caught lying thousands of times. This is truly perplexing.
But I also got to tell you one more thing. The attorney told me. He says every time somebody makes a statement, don't get upset.
Settlement that never happened. To be very specific about what I'm saying there, okay, Karl claimed that as a result of a settlement that Billy Mitchell had with Apollo Legend, there was a financial sum that Apollo Legend had to pay. It doesn't work if it's under $3, unfortunately. Thanks for the super chat, though. So basically, he claimed that Apollo Legend topped himself because there was an amount of money that Apollo Legend had to pay to Billy Mitchell because of a settlement, but there was no money that was paid because Billy Mitchell didn't go after Apollo for money, and he just said, give me the rights to the videos, more or less, and don't repeat the claims and we'll call it quits. And that was it. He didn't demand any sum and didn't get any sum. So, like, you know, that is what I'm talking about. Yes, there was a settlement, but there was no money that changed hands. And Apollo Legends never had to pay money to Billy Mitchell, and therefore it is absurd to claim that A, there was a payment made, and B, that he topped himself because of that payment, when none of that was true. Bad, 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 bad. And now here he is talking about how truthful and correct he is at all times about everything he said, which isn't correct.
Okay, that's
total
wonderful.
Disaster.
But how do I make money off depressed people?
Wait, Karl's lawyers cited a case where someone got a smaller payout for being called a PDF, but the judge said Karl did more damage than the case cited.
Thank you for the super chat. Presumably because he kept doubling down and stuff, right? His alleged source was the brother of Apollo, but he never heard anything from him. Despite Mr. Jobs' statement to Mr. Keane that if he did not hear anything back from Apollo Legend's brother, or if he had nothing concrete, he would leave out the words concerning the alleged payment by Apollo Legend to Mr. Mitchell.
But how do I
Mr.
make
Jobs
money
again altered the
off
video,
press
reinstating the
people?
original version.
Wow.
There we go, see? Thank you for the super chat. So yeah, it's, yeah. So it seems like he kept doubling and repeating it, even though it wasn't true. Oh, Elon Musk won a case where he accused a man of being a pedophile. Well, he called him a pedo guy. And I'm pretty sure the ruling was determinate on the fact that it wasn't meant to be an actual claim of him being a pedophile. It was more like an insult or something, right? So yeah, it was about the guy that was trying to save the kids from the cave or something.
Remember, this is defamation. And every single statement, every single YouTuber who takes his video and reproduces it, which is a lot, every single one of them is a gift. In the end, it's a gift. Because he's wrong. He cannot possibly defend the fact that he said I took the life of a human being. And I'm not gonna let it go, no matter what.
I can't defend myself because I'm wrong. Wow, that's a very convincing argument, Billy. I'm sure that persuaded a lot of people. Anyways, I'm going to link my GoFundMe again in the description. Any support would be greatly appreciated. And to this point,
Reverence Arch from your grums. Karl had a sacred cow which he doubled down. And he was misleading. I believed back then it was about the cheating. My mistake for not watching Billy's vid.
Well, yeah, but people didn't want to watch Billy's video because Billy was such a terrible reputation.
But how do I make money off depressed
Unfortunately.
Segfault became a member. Segfault celebrates 3 months of membership. AIDS-ridden albino lost. Wow.
Thank you for the membership. Yeah, he does skip over that, doesn't he? What is Billy talking about there? What is it you said? Dude, crazy.
In time, I'm desperately trying to get a trial happening as soon as possible, so hopefully everything is wrapped up within the next few months.
Ooh.
Any and all money I receive goes towards mounting the best defense possible. I really appreciate any support you are willing to give, and of course, thank you so much to everyone who has helped so far. And once again, please make sure to try out Dragon City. It's a really fun game, it helps the channel, and if you use my link in the description or QR...
Okay. Dude, oh man, it's so crazy watching this stuff back and it's aged so badly. What's this?
He also sued YouTuber Apollo Legend for $1 million. I haven't spoken about this publicly, but this lawsuit ultimately ended with Apollo giving in and settling with Mitchell. He was forced to remove all of his videos about Mitchell's cheating and paid him a large sum of money. This left him deeply in debt, which required him to find extra work. But with his ongoing health issues, this was all too much of a burden, and he ultimately took his own life. Not that Billy Mitchell would ever care though. In fact, when Billy Mitchell thought Apollo died earlier, he expressed joy at the thought. The lawsuit against Apollo was
I
just
didn't get a chance
as
to finish
frivolous
reading that.
So he just presents that with no evidence as well, by the way. No evidence,
Okay,
just
that's
total
wonderful. But
nonsense.
how do
Where
I
did he
make
even get that
money
from?
off depressed people?
Ekikrat became a member. Ekikrat celebrates 4 months of membership. I hope Karl doesn't double down, but it's not looking good.
Thank you for that. Thank you for the membership. Also, the dates there. When did Apollo Legends die? Because those tweets are from 2018. So when didn't he die later than that? No, dude. Okay, bro. Or did he die then? I don't know the time frame of this shit. Bro, it's all too confusing. There's too many dates. December 2020 is when he died. Is that right? But Billy thought he died in 2018 and was mocking him for it. But that wasn't about his actual death. Right.
Was just at... In fact, when Billy Mitchell...
I thought he had died. Okay.
Wow.
Oh, he said it. He did say it.
Jesus Christ, Billy. The fucking super villain of retro Donkey Kong gaming. It has to be a really sad existence. This man did one thing in his life, and
Bro, I cannot bear, dude. This fucking Billy Mitchell bad. I get it. Okay. Anyway, that was the defaming segment of the video. And then... So this is apparently the retraction, I guess? Let's listen to this.
Now, before I finish the video, I would like to take this opportunity to correct something that I said in a previous video. Back in May, I talked about the new lawsuits filed by Todd Rogers and Billy Mitchell. In that video, I made the claim that Apollo Legend paid money to Billy Mitchell as part of their settlement. I would never make such a claim unless I had very good evidence to support my position. In response to this, Billy Mitchell released a video accusing me of lying and claimed that no money was exchanged. He didn't provide any evidence to back up this claim, nor did he attempt to get in contact with me to clear up.
What? Prove you didn't pay any money? No, you need to prove that you paid. What? Surely the burden of proof is on fucking Karl in that situation. Bro, Karl is... Oh my god, dude. This is just terrible for Karl. Every angle I look at this, it just gets worse and worse. And also, this is buried in a video, the greatest feat in video game history, which is about Dark Souls. Nothing to do with Billy Mitchell. He's just buried it in at the end.
Up any misinformation I may have had. However, I did investigate further as I would never want to provide false information to my viewers. I reached out to a member of Apollo's family who graciously agreed to clarify some details. According to them, despite Mitchell's best efforts, Apollo Legend would not pay any money, and in the final version of the settlement, there was no clause indicating that he was required to do so. Therefore, the statement I made in that video was almost certainly incorrect. I sincerely apologize for providing false information, and no matter what kind of relationship I have with...
Also, it wasn't just about the fact that money changed hat, the idea that Apollo Legends had played Billy Mitchell money. You also said that that was a contributing factor to him killing himself. And that isn't addressed here. So you've not even addressed the actual, like, yeah, you know, getting a detail of that wrong, there was a financial settlement and there wasn't, is fairly trivial in comparison to you claiming that he killed himself because of it. You should have done a standalone video for this. Bro, this doesn't meet the standard of, like, most commentary YouTubers of, like, if you need to make a retraction. God, this is, like, massively... It's so crazy how this is all buried away. I had no idea about any of this shit. You know, I think I had a cursory look at the lawsuit stuff. Like, a cursory glance. Maybe you covered a video about it. But, you know, when you get into the depths of it, man, it's so fucked what Karl has done here.
With Mitchell, I do not believe that it is ever justified to lie or mislead. Mitchell also claimed that I was accusing him of murder. This is certainly not the case. I do have my opinion regarding the impact of the settlement on Apollo's decision, but ultimately, it was no one's responsibility but his own. The only reason I mentioned it in that video was because I felt like it was important to let you know what happened.
Well, no. I mean, if you say... this thing happened because of this person's actions and the person then killed themselves. Whilst it is, you know, a bit spicy to put it that way, there is that flavour to it, right? You're claiming they're responsible for them killing themselves.
As I know many of you enjoyed his videos. As always, thank you so much for watching, you legends. I hope you are having a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next video.
So yeah, you can see why the judge didn't find that sufficient. And there's some stuff in the case here. It was not until Apollo Legend's brother confirmed the settlement did not require any payment by Apollo Legend that Mr. Jobst again edited out the offending words, but he still implied he thought they were true anyway. Right. Well, yeah. I still have my opinion about it. The way you would do this is you'd put out a statement and you'd say, just to let you know, I erroneously claim this. That then means that this thing that I said was also untrue. I just want to clarify that. Apologies to Billy Mitchell. You probably have to do that for a legal thing. And that would be it, right? Like, why? Why did he do this? Why did he fuck himself over so hard, bro? Anyway, and we've just watched the other video too. Okay. Very, very, very misleading. Very deceptive. Very deceptive. It'd be a very hard series for anyone to try and cover during the whole catastrophe on live stream. Well, yeah, I mean, and obviously you had people like fucking Moist Critical talking about it, who were just fucking, you know, oh yeah, Billy Mitchell bad guys, not meaningfully scrutinizing anything that's stated. So, yeah. Damn. Right. Let's move on to more familiar ground. Mutahar made a video about this. And obviously Mutahar and Jobst have got a bit of a connection. So I'm interested to see, you know, what he's got to say about it. Let's have a little look and see. Is he going to sweep? Is he going to... Look, I think there's still a debate that you can have. Oh, wait a second. What's this? Mitchell actually did attempt to contact Jobst. Mr. Jobst said the Reddit is popular in the video game industry as a source of news. He said that it could be a reliable source of information, but it depends on who posts something or if the source of a fact is disclosed. Mr. Mitchell said that he first saw the video on 28th of May 2021. I shall deal later with his reaction to it. One thing he did was to have his son call a YouTuber, Daniel Keem, known online as Keemstar, who was personally known to him and Mr. Jobst, and to ask him to contact Mr. Jobst to tell him that what he had said in the video was wrong. Mr. Mitchell Jr. did that, and Mr. Keem agreed to contact Mr. Jobst for that purpose. I shall come later to the evidence of their communications. On 3rd of June, so it's also true that he did try and reach out, admittedly, well, I mean, that's still reaching out, right, via an intermediary. So he did try and reach out to correct the record. On June 3rd, 2021, Mr. Mitchell Jr. suggested to Mr. Mitchell that he post online a video that responded to Mr. Jobst's claims. Together they drafted what Mr. Mitchell should say and recorded the video, titled Response to Karl Jobst Regarding Apollo Legend. Mr. Mitchell Jr. said he uploaded the video at 2 AM after first checking whether the offending words were still in the video. When he woke up the next morning, he checked again and saw they were no longer in the online video. He said later that if the words had been edited out before he'd uploaded the response video, he would not have posted the latter. Okay, so that would suggest that he put the video up and Karl Jobst saw that and took it out, but didn't clarify till later. Am I understanding this correctly? So he just tried to edit it out rather than just address it up front.
Reading the ruling in depth, the more I read, the more I believe he probably would have lost in the US too, and the more reasonable I find the outcome.
Well, I just have a principled... I mean, obviously I'm biased because I'm a fucking YouTuber myself, but I just, you know, I've said what I think about that aspect of it. But there is no argument against the finding, I don't think. You could argue the toss about the penalty and stuff like that, but on the basis of how Karl has acted, it's like, yeah, he's fucked himself. He's only got himself to blame for this.